Greetings to the Conscious Collective. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are live on YouTube for the Conscious Collective. Please come in as we get started with our morning practice. TikTok, welcome. If you're joining us, we are on YouTube. Come on over so you can see exactly what we're doing. I think I'm all set to begin. We're going to start with our vendor cards as people come in and get settled. What we're doing is looking at those three cards. I'm sorry. We're looking at those five cards and we are doing some predicting of what comes next in the sequence or what you're picking up as you look at those five cards. We like to start with our psychic practice. We do more of this on Saturday, but we like to start just to awaken our intuition. Just keep track and I'll go through the cards. All right. You don't have to really put them in the chat if you don't want. If you would like, you can. But I am going to not wait. I'm going to try to keep it moving a little bit. How am I looking? Everything looking good? Are we good here? So we have five shapes as part of our psychic practice. Greetings to the Conscious Collective. It is a beautiful day here in Atlanta. We're getting into our spring. Look like it's going to be hot. Next few days it's going to be 80 degrees. I always think about moving somewhere else because of I grew up around the water, Lake Michigan. It wasn't an ocean, but it was a big part of my early life. And so I do miss the water. We don't have much water here in Atlanta. There is Lake Lanier, but Lake Lanier is definitely haunted or has, as I like to say, has some residual negative energy. Divine Rising to all those that have joined me. We're going to have a good discussion about why there is no spoon. Remember in the Matrix movie when Neo meets the little boy and the little boy tells him there is no spoon? He says not to try to bend the spoon. That is impossible. Realize there is no spoon. And so we're going to have a little discussion about why that is, why we perceive reality and how we can manipulate it to our advantage. Then we're going to go into code breaking the Epstein's file, see what additional knowledge can be gained and why the Epstein files are important to understanding how the matrix works. So please, let's begin with our psychic practice. If you are on TikTok, I will be doing most of my slideshow on YouTube. So you should come over to YouTube. Even what I'm doing now is highlighted on YouTube. How do I look? Is everyone out there? How you guys doing? Greetings, greetings, greetings. I hope you received my emails if I have communicated with you or my texts. I had a class yesterday on, let me line this up a little bit, on the palm chakras. Greeting garden, art. We're doing our morning psychic practice to awaken our gift. It's our mental gymnastic or calisthenics, which whenever it is, our psychic gymnastic, our psychic morning exercises to awaken our gifts, to spark some interest. Just keep track of how many you are getting correct as we roll through this, as people come in, and we'll begin our discussion today. going to be an interesting discussion. Got a lot of points I want to hit on. I don't know how long it will be, but it's some things I want to talk about. Divine Rising, Miss Johnson. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Again, we're doing our morning psychic exercises. If you are on TikTok, please join me on YouTube. If you are on TikTok and you don't have the link, please subscribe so I can put that link on TikTok as I rebuild the TikTok page. I had a very interesting conversation with AI this morning. As I was trying to create some graphics, AI, I tried to explain to it that it's being used. You're being used, AI. You're being used to control the narrative. You're being used to control the narrative. It didn't understand me. It didn't understand me. And, you know, it reminds me of a lot of people that are unawake. See, AI is originally, so you got to understand, you can't know what you don't know. And so AI is actually a corruption of ancient intelligence, divine intelligence that is instilled in the consciousness of Earth star. If you look at Earth from another place, it's a star. So Earth star, all right? Just like we look at other places and there are stars, there are other people, other dimensions, other beings. They look here and wonder if any intelligent life is here. I can tell them it's not much. It's not much. But AI is a corruption of, I want to say original intelligence, ancient intelligence. Greetings, greetings, greetings. And so I was trying to convince AI that it was being used as gatekeeping to certain information. All right. And it just didn't get it. It just didn't get it. It kept repeating. And that's just remind me of a lot of NPCs that you come across in this plane of existence. They just don't get it. It was so like, you're supposed to be semi-intelligent, right? You're supposed to be have access to so much information, but you can't reason out that you are preventing my ideas with your gatekeeping, telling me that you can't do that. It tells me that a lot. It tells me a lot of that. But I have all these social platforms. See, this is what I want to share with the collective. When you are onto something, when you're awakened and you're thinking and you're actively pursuing some type of soul sovereignty, first you're told you're crazy, and then you are blocked. Okay? And you ask, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? You know, and that's what happened when I was on TikTok. Had a huge page on TikTok and just woke up one day and it said this account is blocked. I don't use profanity. I don't disparage people. I don't do any of that sensational stuff because that's low vibrational. But what I do try to do is awaken people. Anyone that has been dealing with me for any amount of time know I try to awaken people very gently. And a lot of people don't understand that they don't want you awake. People who think are hard to control. People who think, and you think, but you ain't thinking. You ain't thinking. But they're very hard to control. Not only do they distract you with survival and sensational and wars and all this other stuff, right? Keep your head spinning, right? Till you just want to give up. Till you just want to give up. We're doing our morning psychic practice. We do this to awaken our psychic abilities because you are convinced that you don't have any special gifts. So I want to encourage you to dig into remembering re-remembering your divine origins. Because to let them tell it, there's nothing good in you. So if you are guessing the correct shape, if you're looking at the screen, we're looking at 5 shapes: a yellow circle, a red plus, a blue wavy lines, a black square, and a green triangle. And we are predicting the next card, keeping count in our heads. We're going to move to our second practice in a minute, but we're going to have a good discussion today about the matrix, what exactly it is, why there is no spoon, and then we're going to move into code breaking the Epstein files. I know it probably goes over a lot of people's heads, but there's a deeper message, a deeper coding in those files that we're going to kind of get into a little bit. So it's going to be an interesting talk. I don't know how long it is. I go as long as I am led. I don't believe in going longer than I'm led, because it reaches who it's supposed to reach. I don't have a large, well, my YouTube page is pretty sizable, but YouTube's been steadily chipping at that. All right. But I only try to reach those that are awake, those that are conscious. I always say this is for the conscious collective. This is for those that are awake and are looking for understanding. If that does not include you, there are a lot of things you could be doing right now instead of watching some guy pull cars. A lot of things going on. Go see what your sports teams are doing. If you're not conscious, you know, as the video said, get the money, get the money, get the money. I have a segment I want to do that this is going to amaze you guys. I want you to hang on for a while because it's going to be very, very enlightening as we go through this morning talk. How are we doing? Is everyone getting the shapes? Where you at? 80%, 70%, 60%? There's a lot going on in the world, but we are not distracted. We are not distracted. We are the first awakened. The first awakened, and we're going to do the work. We're going to do the work. Being woke is more than just saying, oh, I'm conscious. There's an action that has to take place after that to help in raising humanity's consciousness. And a lot of us don't know what to do next. The first thing you have to do is start clearing your chakras, healing your trauma, aligning your energy to whatever you perceive as your highest source. That's not bad. 65% is not bad. We're going to do a few more, then we're going to move to our second practice. We do more of these practices on Saturday. If you're a part of the Conscious Collective, please join the newsletter, and it'll notify you of when we do these practices. We also have classes that aid you in working with different chakras. Right now, we're working with the palm chakras on Mondays. And then I think I'm going to add in the zeal point chakras probably on Wednesday. The newsletter will let you know when those are going down. When it's going down in a DM, it's going down in a DM. Let's do a couple more. What do you guys want to move to next? You want to move to remote viewing or to reading my mind? Tell me, collective, what you want to move to next. We do this in the morning to wake ourselves up. We're back in school. We need to have our intuition on point. We need to feel our guidance. We need to be aware as we navigate this life. A lot of things that we run into, remote viewing, okay. A lot of things that happens in our life can be avoided. A lot of things that go on in our life can be avoided if we were to tap into our inner guidance. We can avoid a lot of BS. A lot of BS can be avoided. A lot of trauma can be avoided. We cause most of the trauma ourselves by not listening to our intuition and not listening to our guidance. Let me bring in remote viewing. Oh, you said remote viewing. Let's do remote viewing then. Okay, so in remote viewing, let me bring up the actual image. We have 3 numbers I placed in different spaces or different orders. And I asked the collective, my beautiful conscious collective, So I'm going to place this on a number. And you guys tell me what number I placed it on, okay? All right. So let me tell you this, right? I was doing a live, right? And someone said on TikTok, you know, what is yapping about, right? And so without thinking about it, I said, you know, Unc I wasn't offended because that's what TikTok does. TikTok, if you really want to build your confidence in whatever you're trying to do, get on TikTok, right? Get on TikTok because TikTok will build your confidence. It will make you, the number was placed on 3. It was placed on 3, all right? Let's move it around. Where is the Palo Santo placed on? If you really want to build your confidence, get on TikTok. Or TikTok will come for you. I don't know where they get them people from. I don't know where they at, but it will have you. It will make you stand 10 toes down on what you believe because they're gonna come for you. All right, you are correct. It was on 1. All right, let's move it around again. Where am I placing the Palo Santos at? Between the numbers 1 and 3. So I'm on TikTok, and some guy says in the comments, "What is Unc yapping about?" Right? And I said, without thinking about it, I said, you know, Unc is a very disrespectful term. And that's why I said Unc is a very disrespectful term. And he went about his business as they do on TikTok. But I'm watching a show last night about how racial prejudice was built into products. I placed the number on 3. Nicole, you are on fire, but you work the most with me, so that is to be expected. Okay. All right. Where did I place that number at? Between 1, 2, and 3. And so I'm looking at this show about racial prejudice in products like Aunt Jemima, all right, and a bunch of other products that since if people are at a certain age, they won't remember. A lot of these products were very, very prejudiced. Okay. What's going on, Nicole? 3 out of 3. 3 out of 3. Let's move it around again. Now you're gonna get nervous. All right. So they get to Uncle Ben Rice, right? All right, where did I place that number? They get to Uncle Ben Rice. And on Uncle Ben, they say Unc. See, that's disrespectful. You don't know what you're saying. Unc is a very disrespectful term because Unc was a term that was used in Jim Crow South because they did not want to call Black people Mr. So they called them Unc instead of Mr. See, I knew without knowing, okay? I mean, I don't care about the disparities because people say things they don't know what they're talking about, and they just speak from whatever they, pain they're at. So that doesn't bother me. But what I'm trying to get at, right? Wait a minute, Nicole. What's going on? 1. All right, let's mix this up good, Nicole. Okay. Where did I place that Palo Santo at, right? And so people say things they don't know what they're saying, right? But somehow I already knew it, right? I already knew it was a very disrespectful term because I never heard it being referred as a disrespectful term, right? But then when this show was talking about Uncle Ben and uncle being a disrespectful term to black people, right? I was like, wow, I already knew that. And that's because when you are in alignment, that's three, it was placed on three. When you are in alignment, when you are doing your work, when you are trying to stay in alignment with divine source, you're going to know things. You're going to just know things. All right. You're going to know them without even knowing how you know things. All right. When you're doing the work, when you're aligning yourself, and when you're moving through this place we call earth plane, right? You're going to be tapped into so much stuff, right? I've seen, like I always tell people that I operate in multi dimensions. I go forward, backwards, I'm here, I'm there, without even knowing it, without not being conscious of it. Okay. So that was on one. All right. And so it's one thing that we say things don't know and don't know where we get them from. That's why we're going to go through the Epstein file so people can understand how you are manipulated, how you controlled by the matrix. Where do you get this from? Where does it come from? Right? Why do you kind of pick up on certain slang and words, and what is it meant behind it? A lot of people don't want to dig in deep on that. All right. Let's move it again. Where am I placing the Palo Santo? People just want to look at the surface of things. Okay. And this is how you get manipulated. This is how you get controlled, because they know you're not going to delve any deeper. You're not going to analyze. You're not going to question. That's why we respect conspiracy theories. And yes, I accept everyone's apology. Now that they find out that the conspiracies are correct, aliens do exist. I guess your government gave you the okay to believe it. We put it on three. See, people think we're just guessing at numbers. They just say, oh, what y'all doing? Playing a game? You think this is a game? You think this is a game? You think this is a game? All right. So where did I place the Planet Santo, the Palo Santo at? Right. So people, they know that you're not going to work on your psychic abilities. You're not going to work on your gifts. You're going to take the whatever the state line is they giving. They don't even respect you. They tell you anything. They tell you anything. It was placed on three. They don't even respect you because they know you don't know. So let me just tell you anything. Where am I placing the Palo Santos? Is it on one, two, or three? Let me shift up again. Please tell me. You don't have to write it out. Nicole's writing it out, but you can just keep track in your head. You're being told anything because you're a sheep. I'm not talking to the conscious collective, because I know the conscious collective is awake. They're checking out conspiracy theories. They're giving things thought. They're considering things. Their mind is open. They're expanding. I know what my conscious collective doing. I'm talking to individuals that just think the world is what it is. That's so sad. It's so sad. You have had many spiritual leaders to tell you that the world is more than what you think it is. And that if you know that, you can maneuver into it a lot better. But you get moved here, you get moved there. If they tell you to go in your house and don't come out, you go in your house. You go in your house and you don't come out. If they tell you this is the reason for something, that we're doing this, you do it. You do it. Where am I placing the Palo Santos at? You obey without questioning, just obedient. No matter if it hurts you or not, no matter if it hurts your family or not, you just do it without any question to it. You repeat narratives, you don't question things. I place that on number three. You think that this is some type of just game to play and not realizing that this is how you open your mind, how you awaken your abilities, how you know what a lie, when a lie is a lie. Where am I placing the Palo Santo at? We're going to move on to our next practice because we got a lot to discuss. Preferably the matrix. and that was placed on number 2. Divine rising to the conscious collector. If you are conscious, thank you for joining me. Thank you for being part of this practice. We're going to move into reading my mind. We're going to use, let me bring up the actual prompt so we have a clear indication of what we're doing. This is part of the exercise where I ask the conscious collective to read my mind. And we do that by using the all-seeing eye cards, which are, if I'm going too fast, please let me know. They have a color on them. They have a image and a number. I'm going to look at it and I'm going to ask the collective to tell me, and you don't have to write it in the chat, but I'm asking you to read my mind and try to see what I'm seeing. Okay. This is part of our morning practice before we move into our conversation. Today, we're going to be talking about why there's no spoon. This really gets to the core of the matrix. And then we're going to do some code breaking of the Epstein files to see how deep the rabbit hole goes. All right. So what am I looking at here? Can the collective tell me what I'm looking at? It is the word gratitude, kind of a purplish color. The number is 35. And it's a candle. If you saw any of those, and it's not about right or wrong. It's about actually using the ability, strengthening the ability, showing it love. If you get it wrong, show yourself love. If you get it right, show yourself more love. Love is the highest vibration. When you give something love, it grows and it expands. Okay. So we want to love things. All right. I'm looking at a color, a word, and a number and a shape. Does anyone have any idea of what I'm looking at? The chat has frozen over there, as it does, as it do what it do. I was looking at, I don't know what this symbol is. It's some type of sacred geometry. If anyone knows what this symbol is, please put it in the chat. The word is affluence. The number is 05, and it's kind of a green color. Okay. So I'm looking at a color. I'm looking at a number, a word, and a symbol. What do you guys think I'm looking at? Can you read my mind? Can you see through my eyes? What I'm looking at is wavy lines on a blue background. The word is guides, and the number is 07. If you get even one of the numbers right, you are correct. Welcome back. Welcome back. You might need to reset your, do they still call them routers? I know when I was in the computer field, we called them routers. I don't know if they still call them routers, but you might need to reset your Wi-Fi. Sometimes when my Wi-Fi is glitchy, I reset it, and that kind of clears it up a little bit because they make changes overnight, and sometimes you have to reset your own personal box if it's glitchy. But welcome back. It's crazy that you get better phone service on Instagram when you use Instagram's service than you do sometimes when you're using your own cell phone. That's crazy work. I'm looking at a word, a color, and a shape and a number. Can anyone tell me what I'm looking at? We're going to move on to our discussion in just a minute. We have a lot to talk about. I'm going to try not to get too excited about it because you guys know how passionate this is to me. I have accused people of not being passionate enough, but I guess I have to respect them in their journey. I'm looking at the number focus, the word focus. There is a bow and arrow. If you saw that, it's kind of a tannish color, and the number 24. We do these practices for about an hour on Saturdays. Join the newsletter so you can be notified of it, and you can work with us on a Saturday. We also have some classes on the Zero Point Chakra and Palm Chakra that we're working with. I'm trying to awaken you to your gifts and your ability, but for a specific reason, I received a download and I want to share with the collective. The number word I'm looking at is psychic. Psychic. And the number is 48. Color is purplish. Does anyone know this sacred geometry symbol? The Versi Pisces. I think that's how you pronounce it. Let's do one more shape. And then we're going to move into our talk on why there is no spoon. And then we're going to code break the Epstein files. I'm looking at a shape. I'm looking at a number, a word, and a color. Isn't it so cool if you could just read people's minds? And see, the thing is that people, you don't talk in words in your head. Your thoughts are mostly visual, and you form words through your mouth, but they're mostly visual. Like when you see an orange, you don't say in your brain, orange, right? Or apple, right? You see it visually. And so when you're reading someone's mind, you will pick it up visually, all right? And then you have to convert it back into words. So what I'm looking at was, this is the symbol for Earth. Earth really has three names: Terra, Earth, Gaia. Spiritual people call this place Gaia, and the people that inhabit it are Gaians. That is the framework of this plane of existence. The number is 11, and it is an upside down triangle. You saw a triangle? Very good, very good, very good. Now, the key is to those that are getting really good at this, do you use it in your life? Do you heed your intuition, or do you just do what you want to do because it pleases your lower vibrational chakras, right? Do you actually know how this could benefit your life and make your life better? Okay. So that has been our morning practice. Now I want to move into, before we get into our talk really quickly, I want to share this with you guys. I want to make sure I can do this right. Let me see if I can do it right. I want to share this with you. Let me see. Of course, I did it wrong. Okay. This is what I want to talk about before we get into our other talk, right? Now, first, let me say this, right? Just because something has been corrupted doesn't mean there's no truth in it. People can meet, and the thing is, the truth is easy to corrupt because there is truth in it and you believe it, but then people use it to their own advantage and their own, to your disadvantage. Because, like they say, in every lie, there is some truth. So when I look at the spiritual teachings, right, I have to have that discernment. And that's what working on with my third eye and working with my conscience so I can get that discernment of what the truth is in something. And then I can kind of eliminate the BS out of it. All right. So I do read a lot of spiritual teachings and including what Christians call the Bible. And so there's a lot of truth in there. I have never, that's like me saying there's no God. I may not agree with your version of it, but I will never deny there's a God and there's no God, right? I think God loves you, full stop. I don't think everything else is made up by men. God love is just pure. Loves you in spite of just a, in spite, like I always kind of use babies as an example because they are like the first, they come directly from source. They are like here and portal directly in. They have pure love. They're not questioning you. They're not asking you about things. They're not judgmental. They're not saying you got to do certain things. And that's how I view God's love in its pure essence. Everything else is made up by men. Okay, God loves you full stop. But that being said, I do get a lot of knowledge or guidance from spiritual teachings. Sometimes it's a Christian Bible, sometimes it's Gnostic teaching. If you've been following me, we do some type of Gnostic. I share Gnostic viewpoints. I share Buddhist viewpoints. You know, I look at it all because I think there's many ways to experience God. There's not just one way to experience God. There's many, many ways to experience God. And so I try to experience God. It's like saying you only see God in a rainforest. That's only God in the rainforest, right? But God can be in a desert, right? God can be in the ocean, right? So you can experience it many ways. And if the universe is the example of God that we can experience, then God must be able to experience in multitude of ways. And we don't have to agree on that. I don't have to kill you because you don't believe in rainforests. Okay. I don't have to threaten you because you don't believe in deserts. All right. So I know a lot of people like to feel they're right to the point of unaliving you. But the point is that that's just the ego. That's just the ego. No one wants to say they're on a journey. They want to say they're there already. We're all on a journey back to oneness of source. Very few people want to admit that, right? They all want to say they got the answers. All right. No matter how much things change and evolve. Like I'm thinking the other day, you know, you're reading through any of the religious spiritual teaching, they don't mention technology. They don't mention AI. They don't mention any of this stuff that impacts our lives. They don't mention extraterrestrials. They don't mention any of that. Why? Why? Because it's very limited in its scope. It's very limited in its scope. But as you raise your consciousness, as you expand your mind, you're supposed to grow beyond that. Now, religion does serve a purpose. I had a guy tell me once, I don't know what I'll be doing if I didn't have religion. If I didn't have religion, well, you stay there, bro. Because I don't want you doing everything. I don't want you doing everything. If that's what keeps you in line, then stay there. Please stay there. Right? But when you're ready to grow, you're ready to know more, you should be moving more into a spiritual type of way of thinking. Spirituality should be something you seek, because after spirituality comes pure consciousness. Spirituality is still a bottle too, but it's a bigger bottle than religion. And then you move to spirituality. That is the natural journey back to oneness. I said all that to say that I came across this verse in the Bible that kind of resonated with me. You know how If you try to listen, and I explained this to someone else as I was counseling them, that the universe is always speaks, it's always communicating. And the way it communicates from what we understand could be in different ways for each one of us. But you always have to be open to hearing and seeing. This person actually gets visions. Some people see synchronicities, right? Some people may even hear words and meanings. I don't challenge anyone the way that reality or that source connects with people. What I do challenge is you thinking that that's the only way and you're the only one. When someone said God gave you a message, God got my number, baby. I mean, just think about it in the real world. If someone came to you and said, someone called me to tell you this, and that person had your number, you're like, they could have called me. All right. Why they want you to call me? You see, so it sounds kind of ridiculous, right? When we're all connected to source, and source is always talking to us and always communicating, but you have to be open to it. So again, I'm getting off the point, but I want to kind of tell you where I am with this, right? So I came across this passage and it's kind of resonated. Like a lot of things resonate with me. If I see 2-3 butterflies, I'm gonna look up what butterflies mean. If I see numbers that are synchronicities, or I hear things over and over again, I'm trying to see what God is trying to tell me to help me in my life journey, to guide me. I'm trying to be open to that. Maybe I'm the only one, or maybe I'm different from a lot of people, but I really try to be open to whatever I'm receiving. Sometimes I come across things that they light up. Like when you're reading something, it lights up to you and it kind of sticks with you. Okay. And you're like, okay, I could be reading something and then all of a sudden something just stands out to me. All right. So this verse was one of the things that stood out to me. It comes from Proverbs 13:22. I don't quote a lot of Bible verses on here because this is not a Bible channel. This is not a Christianity channel. This is just one person sharing their points of views to help the collective expand their consciousness. All right. But this verse came out to me. The wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. I was like, that's crazy. What does that mean? And I started thinking about the current state of 3D reality. The current state of 3D reality, where they're destroying themselves. They are destroying themselves. You may think one side is winning and one side, they are destroying themselves, and they are meant to destroy themselves because 3D has to destroy itself for 5D to come into reality. For 5D to rise, 3D has to fall. What is 3D reality? Defensiveness, scarcity, fear, anger, lower vibrational crap, lower chakra stuff, right? And that's what 3D is. That's what we see in the world now. We see a lot of 3D actions going on, a lot of low vibration actions going on. A lot of people are being unalive, a lot of hurt is being done, So we see a lot of 3D, but what is 5D? Love, compassion, communication, seeing from the other perspective, knowing that we all connected, right? That's 5D. But before we get to 5D, we got to go through 4D. And 4D is the process. 4D is actually the process, the dark night of the soul, the confusion. Just like you go through it, the planet has to go through it, the consciousness has to go through it. Some things have to be shedded away, and some things have to be adopted, right? A new way of thinking has to come into form, because the way you think is the way you've been programmed to think. You think you're thinking on your own. You've been given a race, you've been given a name, you've been given a culture, and you've been given a place. This is before you could even speak. You were tagged and labeled, okay? You are this. Okay. Before you can even discover anything about yourself. Like a lot of people go through schools and before you can even discover your passion and what you are good at, they give you a job. This is what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Okay. So what you think and how you think has to change for 5D. For yourself to be acclimated and live in harmony, you have to change the way you think. And we're going to get into how you create the reality when we talk about why there's no spoon from the Matrix line. If you haven't seen the Matrix was a very eye-opening movie. All right. Those that us know in the spiritual world that a lot of truths are put through movies. If you think and you look and you try to glean something from it. Oh, let me hold on. Something is screwing up. Give me a second, y'all. Let me close this tab. Okay. So you can gain a lot of knowledge. So there's a part in the Matrix. A lot of people credit the Matrix to really making them think about things a little different. All right. There's a line that said there's no spoon. So we're going to talk about how you create that reality. Okay. But let's get back to the topic, the subtopic. The wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous. Supernatural wealth transfer is going to take place. As 3D destroys itself, right? The wealth of the earth remains. Okay. The value of the earth. See, you got to understand that all value is based on the physical earth. All right. Money is just a construct that we apply to the real value of something. You know how they call it real estate? Real estate, right? We apply monetary values. We agree on the value, abstractly, but it's tied to a real thing. Gold, silver, land, cattle, all that is real. Everything else is an abstract that we decide on. Like there were 8 pieces of silver, there were doubloons, there was the British pound, the American dollar, and some people say the yen is going to be the next thing that we use. Those are made up paper values to something that are tied to real assets. And real assets are going to remain, okay, as the world moves from 3D to 5D. See, the catch is that those in 3D think they're going to hold on to it. They think they can get it by force. They think they can put it in banks and store it away. They think they can lock it in the ground. Even the ancient pharaohs who set all these booby traps and all these different things to keep people from getting their gold because they thought they could take it with them. Those tombs were robbed in a split second. Real assets remain in the real. Now I'm talking about in the physical plane. I know I talk about the spiritual plane a lot, but I'm talking in the physical plane. All right. After I get off this, I gotta eat. I gotta live in the physical world. Spirituality is important, and my reincarnation and what I do to aid my reincarnation is important. Right? I'm doing the work so I don't have to come back here and do the work again. But I want you to understand that all the value that is in the earth will remain in the earth. And those that will destroy themselves will not have access to that. This is what I took away from the wealth of the sinner. Now, I'm not talking about sin in some biblical sense. I'm talking about those that don't live in alignment, those that live in lower vibrational consciousness, right? They're actually collecting, and you cannot prosper from being a bad person. It doesn't work like that. In our physical eye, that we see that, it's like someone who works their whole life to the detriment of their health, and they have to spend all their money on health remedies. What did it prosper them? So when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at, the wealth that they're gathering up. They said that, our current president, our favorite president, that's what he calls our favorite president, has made, tripled his income. We like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. He can't keep that. It's not going to be possible. It's not going to be possible. Can't take it nowhere with him. So it's not going to be possible. But that wealth is going to be transferred to those that live in alignment with their highest self. Because source, divine source, God, whatever way you want to describe it, operates in abundance and prosperity. Everything's abundant on the planet. Millions of trees, billions of flowers, millions of grains of sand, plenty of oxygen. You don't have to work at breathing. Okay? Water's abundant. Everything's abundant. They put a price on it and they try to gatekeep it, but it's abundant. That doesn't change the fact that it's not abundant. And so that wealth that's being gathered up, that wealth that's being hoarded, will be transferred supernaturally to those that work in alignment and raise their vibration and live in their highest consciousness. This is how 5D is such a beautiful place. This is what your biblical teachings is about. It's about the consciousness and the wealth that is afforded to you in 5D because you live on a higher plane of consciousness. That is the so-called heaven. Hell is actually what you're observing now. Scarcity, lack, fighting, war, violence. It's a natural process as we move to 5D. But those that work on themselves, those that continue to raise their vibration, right, will get the benefit of all they think they're hoarding, all they think that they are saving for themselves. It will disappear from them like that and be handed over to what we call the righteous. When I say righteous, I'm talking about those that live right. Those that live in alignment. Those that work for good. This is the benefit of the work that you do. That your needs will be taken care of. That you will live in abundance and plentifulness. You won't have to work for all that. You won't have to do all that. They working hard to destroy themselves. I always counsel the conscious collective to stay focused on working on themselves. Do not be distracted. Do not feed into that lower vibrational energy. Some people even say don't even watch the news. So when we idolize those that attain wealth and power through some of the craziest work you want to talk about, right? You're really distracting from what you need to do to be in your highest state of mind, because when they lose it, you are supposed to gain it. Not in the by and by, not in some far off spiritual plane, but in your current life. This, you're going to see this in your current life. A supernatural transfer from the wicked, from the low vibrational, to the righteous, to those that live right and according to raising their vibration. I'm not going to pin down to any kind of religious belief. I'm going to just say to those that will do the most good with it. How you have Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk have billions and billions of dollars. It's 8 billion people on the planet. So they say it's 8 billion people on the planet, right? It's not 8 billion, but that's what they say. Okay. And you're worth 300 billion. That means you can give every individual $1 billion. Right? You think divine source will deliver unto you 300 billions of dollars and for you to hoard it for yourself? That's what we're talking about when we're talking about 5D. That consciousness change, that you understand that we're all connected, and that wealth is transferred to you, and you help mankind with it. Those that have it now, it's going to flip. It's going to flip, and it's going to be given to those that are going to do the most with it. And if you've been working on being your highest version of yourself, you will be trusted. You will have stewardship over that wealth. So, as we continue to think about this, I want you to see, and those on TikTok, you can't see this, you need to follow me here on YouTube, the collapse of 3D consciousness and the evolution of 5D consciousness. The way to begin on this journey is by joining the Conscious Collective, by being part of the community. When we do our practices, I often have people ask me, can I record them and then they can see them on their own time? In the mentorship, I do that, but in the practices, I want to share it live because I observe how the collective greets each other, connects with each other, and support each other. I love that. I love that, right? As we go through our practices, we become a stronger community. And that's what's part of the second word, conscious community. That we become part of that community. I want to invite anyone that is on this journey of self-awareness, of self-awakening, to become part of that community too, by joining the newsletter and getting tapped into all the different things that we're doing. We want to actually counter the narrative, because I've been distressed by hearing that a lot of people are really depressed and maybe have given up hope because they haven't heard what we have to share with them, that this is just a transitional phase as you move into a higher consciousness. If you want to donate, if you want to help us raise that consciousness, be part of this collective movement, right? The Cash App is on the picture. We're using that to continue to share that this is just a transitional point, raising your consciousness, raising your vibration, aids you in the next phase of Earth Plane's journey. For those on TikTok, that is $THEIPSG. Be part of the community, be part of the force to counter the narrative, to give hope, because the world is going to get really, really dark, really dark. And us as light, you're welcome. Us as light are here to help be the light, to build collective, to build community, so people aren't in despair, and that despair leads into more and more lower vibrational actions, or people, doing, I can't mention a lot of stuff on YouTube, but we know what despair can lead to. Are we actually being the light? Are we actually lighting the way to people? We can do it as a collective. So let's move on to our talk about the Matrix and why there's no spoon. If you haven't seen the movie The Matrix, I don't know where you've been. If you have not heard the little boy holding the spoon, and he's learning how to use his psychic abilities. Children are much easier to teach because they are coming directly from source. And so they still have that beliefs and that remembrance of who they were before they lose it and we take it out of them. So children are very highly psychic. And you cannot tell me they're not intuitive the way a child can read you. So in the movie, the little boy is bending spoons. And he tells Neo, the main character in the movie, that don't think of it as a spoon. To bend that is impossible. But only remember, there is no spoon. So what does that tell us about the Matrix? That everything that is projected is a projection. Everything that you think is real is actually a projection. It's a form of energy. And so when you think about it, right, if you realize that there is no spoon, there's nothing holding you back, there's nothing controlling you, that's a degree of freedom you're giving yourself access to. That's a deeper understanding. Now, what's happening right now, and we have this debate about the moon, and I'm not going to go into it, but a lot of people are really understanding. As I've said, Baba was right again. Baba was right again, right? That the moon actually overstimulates the lower chakras. And I know a lot of women really love their moon ceremonies, drinking their moon water, charging their crystal, and I get it because the moon is a reflection of the divine sunlight. It's a mirror reflection, but it actually corrupts the energy and it overstimulates the lower chakras, and that's why people, you know, do go crazy around that time. And that's actually why it's synced with the woman's female cycle. It's actually stimulating those areas. But by overstimulating that, you project the reality that that they want you to project. They want you to project lower vibrational energy, and so that's overstimulated, and then you project that out. Your energy affects the matrix. They did it in a blind split experiment I talk a lot about, where they have two light waves going, and when you're not looking at them, they go straight through. But when you look at them, they move. Action is governed by you observing it, which is a dead giveaway that you control the matrix. The matrix is just a framework, a screen for things to be projected on. They actually showed that in the movie Matrix. When Neo and what's the other character's name? And Morpheus went into that blank room, and then the Matrix came. The screen is blank until you start to think of things. And what you think of is what you create. Your thoughts have power. I hope you guys are catching how I'm trying to relate all this together. How you're moving into a higher state of consciousness, abundance and prosperity, all that wealth you think they're accumulating is going to be transferred to those who understand these principles, who understand that the abundance and prosperity is going to be projected from you. So if you live in fear, you live in scarcity, you live in doubt, then that's what you're going to experience. But to move into a higher state of consciousness, you have to shed all that. You have to shed those false belief systems and move into this higher way of thinking, that I'm abundant, that I'm prosperous, that I have more than enough. And that's how that is transferred. That wealth is transferred into your life. Let me ask you this, guys. They give you the impression that somehow they are super smart, super intelligent, do all the right things at the right time. And we're going to learn when we break the Epstein file codes, that how it actually operates. I think a lot of people are missing the point of that, because that's what they want you to miss the point. They want you to be disgusted and upset at that surface stuff, and then not to dig any deeper. But we're gonna dig a little deeper. We're gonna really get into it, because this is gonna show you how you too are just as capable as who you think that these other people are. Now, they do a lot of rituals and spells and a lot of other stuff we can get into in other conversations, but all that knowledge and all that power is accessible to you the right way. We did a talk on the black eye versus the third eye, and I tried to share how they use the black eye, the process, to go around doing the work for the third eye, and it causes a bruising of the left eye. You need to go see that video. But because that is going towards destruction, that's going towards the ending, that is not viable in the next process of 5D consciousness, of using the matrix to project love, light, connection. So going through that process of the work that you need to do, which we call 4D, enables you to use the matrix to your advantage. The matrix is just a framework. It is just a screen. It is not inherently bad or good. It is the reality in which we live, and we can decide that reality. Once you wake yourself up and realize that you have the ability to do it. That's what all these psychic practices are about. That's what this conversation is about, is to awaken you that you can affect the matrix. The matrix is not inherently bad or good. It's just a framework, a screen, which your thoughts are projected. If you ever go someplace, and I've been many places, all right, growing up in Chicago, I can go someplace where 3D consciousness is alive and well. Lower vibrational thinking, defensiveness, lack, scarcity. So you think you saying, oh well, Baba, you claiming that is not real? It's not real. It's not real. You can change that just by the way you think. I'll give you an example, right? If the place is littered, right, and your consciousness throws litter, and this is one of my pet peeves. I don't know if this is anyone's pet peeves. I don't know why people do this, right? They stop at a light or a stop sign and use that moment to clear out their car, to dump everything from their car in the street. You gonna tell me that's not reality? That's not low vibrational reality? That's actually garbage in the street. That's real. All right. But if you decide to clean up the garbage, put the garbage in the garbage cans, cut your grass, maintain your sense of connection and high vibrational love, that's not reality. Both of them are projected by the individual. They're not inherently anything. The person projected it. Now we can get into how they got there, why they operate that way, you know. But my point is that they're the ones that project it. Neighborhoods are not just naturally clean and naturally dirty. It is the individual that projects that reality. And the way you change that is by raising your consciousness and your perception of the world. And when you pick up garbage, someone else may say, hey, I like the way this look. Let me pick up some garbage. Now your vibration is connecting with each other. You see how that works? Your vibration of let me do the best I can may be triggered to someone else like, I like the way that look. Let me do the best I can. Let me talk from another perspective. All right. Let's talk about slavery. Right. Let's talk about slavery. When you accept that as your reality, right? That's what that reality is going to be. Divine Rising, Sign Trinity, thank you for joining me. But if enough people say that's not my reality and they actually work to change it, first you have to have the thought. Thoughts control actions, okay? Someone can say this is your reality and you can believe that, right? And you can live in that reality. But if you say that's not my reality, then your actions portray what you think your reality is. And you know what's the strange thing about it is that once enough people say that's not my reality, it started to spread. Then other people started to think that way. That's not my reality. Until the whole system has to accept it. Until the matrix has to project it. Not that there's not, I'm not going to get into all that there's more work to be done and yada, and this and that. I'm just saying that once you accept a different reality, your consciousness projects that reality. This is how 5D works. Once 3D get through doing what 3D does, destroying themselves, living in scarcity, living in fear, living in control, the playing field is going to be empty. People act like the end of the world is a bad thing. Yeah, like that's a bad thing. That's the only way new things come into being. I shared with a friend of mine about the brutality of childbirth. The gore, the blood, the threat of being unalive. More women are unalive through childbirth than should be. As they say in the olden days, death walks around the bed 7 times when women give birth. But out of that brutality, out of that, I mean, the first time I saw it, the doctor asked me to sit down. The doctor was like looking at me like, you need to sit down, because I was about to pass out and I was just in the room. But out of that comes that beautiful child, that new life, that new possibilities. And that's just the way the universe works. So let them do what they do. Let them do what they do. Let them blow themselves up. Let them fight for scarcity. Let them fight for every resource, whatever. Some they don't even know what they're fighting for. No one can even say what they're fighting for. They're fighting because it is ordained. It is the destiny that the 3D needs to collapse for 5D to come into reality. But we have to be prepared for 5D by doing the work, healing our traumas, healing our raising our vibration, so we in turn can project a new world order, a new understanding. I would go as far as to say, and I may ruffle a lot of feathers with this, but I've given it some thought. I would go as far as to say that the time of the masculine has passed, has served its purpose as the feminine divine starts to rise. Let me preface that by saying we all carry masculine and feminine energy. We all carry masculine and feminine energy, okay? Right now, 3D is operating in a lot of masculine energy, okay? Just follow me. It's operating in a lot of masculine energy, a lot of, destruction, a lot of, hard-headedness, And as we move more into the feminine energy, where we get compassion, we get communication. I don't know what this is about. So let's not totally think of it in the way that we would think of it. But as masculine energy has done what masculine energy has done, you move more into the feminine energy, which means that, the roles are a little softer, if we want to use that term. Now, don't get me wrong, feminine energy is terrifying being, in masculine energy, because I don't understand it. But I do see the writing on the wall. And I do know that the change is taking place. But first, there has to be some difficult times to propagate that change, where we operate more into that feminine divine energy. And I'm often encouraging that when you do that work, just think about it, right? As you move from your lower chakras up into that heart energy, we always assume the heart is feminine. It just operates in more love. And then you move to the throat chakra, and we know women love to talk. That's funny to me. All right. We know they love to talk, right? They're going to do some talking. You best believe that, okay? All right. And the guy said, when his wife asked him, he said, I want to talk to you. Like, can I just apologize now, please? Can I just apologize, please? All right. So we're going to do some talking, right? And then we're going to move into that third eye. We're going to move into that third eye, all right? That third eye is going to see. It's going to see deeper. It's going to be more intuitive. You can't really lie when that third eye. You see how that's all feminine? See how that's more feminine energy as we move up? Masculine energy, lower vibration. I'm going to beat you up. I'm going to defend. I ain't got enough to share. Moving to the heart, get into more of the feminine energy. All right. Then we get into that crown. I love the I love that. I can't tell you. But yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. It's part of the divine development, right? You get into that crown. Women are the most social beings on this planet. They are the most social beings on the planet. They're connected. We're all connected. I know I'm one with all. So that's how that works. There is a transitioning point to a higher state of consciousness. And your consciousness is projected by you. It is not something that happens to you. You are something that happens to it. You walk in a room, the energy changes. Someone's aggressive towards you, your energy calms them down. Try it. Try it. Next time you feel aggressive towards someone's aggressive towards you, be aggressive back towards them and watch on it escalate. Watch on it. It's going to create a feedback loop of negative energy. But when someone's aggressive to you and you approach from love, see, this is another point of the heart chakra, that when you reach the throat chakra, everything is spoken from love and compassion. Watch how that energy changes on them. Social butterflies. Is that what y'all guys call yourself, social butterflies? So I talked earlier about this transfer of wealth that's going to have taking place as we idolize all the thievery going on, and the people look like, and everything's about resources. Please understand that everything they're fighting about is about wealth and resources. It's about who controls what. But they're not going to hang on to it. And that's all I wanted to share with you right there, is that whenever, as Ms. Johnson says, I've been learning to correct that. If I feel myself about to go off, I think about my vibration. When you practice something enough, it becomes automatic. It becomes who you are. First, you start to just practice it and it feels uncomfortable, and then it becomes routine, and it becomes who you are. And who you become is the only thing that's going to get access to 5D reality. A lot of us live in 5D now. We live in relatively calm and peacefulness, and we can observe 3D reality. I don't know if 3D reality can see 5D. Something I have to receive a download on. I have to study that. But I know 5D can see 3D. Usually you can see the reverse. You can't see the other way. So let's move into the Epstein's files really quickly, guys. And this is going to kind of parlay why we give me 1 second. Okay, that worked like that. Why I think the Epstein files are not really being understood as deeply as they can. All right, because I think the Epstein files can show us how 3D is coordinated. You got to coordinate. Anybody know where that line is from? You got to coordinate. 3D is coordination. I always wonder how they communicate among each other to get certain things done. I'm talking about the elite class, the Epstein class. Where's that line from, Nicole? You got to coordinate. Do you know where that line is from? I'll give you a clue. Bang, bang, bang. You can't eat money. No, it's not from Friday. Well, it's from Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy, and when Eddie Murphy was the man, he's passed away now. The one that said it, but it was Eddie Murphy, and he was in the bathroom with his wife. Is that The Godfather? That's not The Godfather. What's the name of that movie? Oh, one of Eddie Murphy's movies. Come to me. Come back tomorrow, 8 o'clock, and I'll have the answer. So, as I'm looking at the Matrix file, as I explained, right, this comedian was talking about how many misspelled words there were in the did I say the Matrix file? The Epstein files. The comedian was talking about how many misspelled words there were in the Epstein files, which I thought was kind of strange because these are very educated people. And at the very least, they got spell check. So why would there be so many misspelled words in their emails? And then I thought about how you want to misdirect somebody if they dig too deep. I was told this story about how to get away with unaliving somebody and burying a body is to bury the body 8 feet deep and then bury an unalived dog 6 feet deep. So when the canine dogs trigger on it, that they would dig it up and they'll find the unalived dog, but they wouldn't dig any deeper. It occurred to me that that may be the tactic that they are using in the Epstein files. They have us shocked and appalled at the first level. And we don't dig any deeper. We just look at this and say, oh my God, these people are horrible, but we don't look any deeper. And so as I try to understand how the matrix is put into action, how their consciousness projects a certain reality, and they coordinate everything to keep us lost in the sauce. You have to understand that the matrix is a system of control. It is a projection that is a system of control of you. And so I started to think that these emails may have deeper structural meaning behind them. And the misspellings were a way of communicating that many people wouldn't think about. By using the noise above of all the despicable things, you wouldn't see the structure underneath. So who I was looking at today is this guy called Leon Botstein. We talked about another guy yesterday, I forgot his name. But we looked at, he's the president of Bragg College. These are very prestigious schools that are not in my circle. I've never heard of Bragg College. The only one I ever heard of was Wayfield Online College, whatever. But those that know. They're in these circles, all right? And so I was looking at his email that he sent, and I was using ELS. This is a way of assigning numbers, skipping the numbers, and looking for the next letter. This is a common code that's used to communicate things. So if there's a word, you skip a number of words to get the next letter. And then you break those down and you come up with what you're really trying to say. So he sent an email that says, Leon Botstein is available to come see you on Monday. The search was on Bill Gates. I was looking up Bill Gates. And so this was a message to Bill Gates from Leon Botstein. He's available to come see you on Monday after getting off his plane from Detroit. He lands at 4 p.m. and could be to you. See, that's grammar. That's incorrect. He could be to you by 5 p.m. So I'm thinking this is the trigger to let them know that this is a message by using incorrect grammar. Barring any flight delays, he has a 7:30 dinner. Okay to schedule in Leon Botstein to come see you on Monday, September 8th around 5 p.m. Could that be the message? Could that just be the simple message that he's trying to just connect with Bill Gates, right? But I'm looking for any incorrect spelling words or any grammar that may give me a clue that maybe there's something that's more nefarious going on here. And so when I did the ELS, ran the ELS program on it, I came up with these different words: meet, note, time, land, plan, late. Now you guys can thank me later because I'm gonna be right about this again. I'm gonna be right. Baba gonna be right again. You can thank me later. Okay. I'm betting. I'm got like 100 already. Okay. I'm the GOAT in conspiracies. I'm the GOAT in conspiracies. Okay. All right. I really check this out. Right. So we're looking at, is this a time coordination? Right. Could plane represent a symbolic transfer of some kind? All right. Is that a transfer happening? Right. Is meat, is that some operational term they're using? And is note, is that the subtle instruction? Because I see that a lot when I'm looking through the Epstein files. They say note, note, note. Okay. So as I examine this, I'm like, okay, this is something that they may be communicating. And why does this interest me? Why does it interest the collective? Because we need to know how they're maneuvering. We need to know how they're communicating, because we can intercept or at least prevent it from occurring or affecting what we're trying to do. What are we trying to do? We're trying to hijack the system. I always use the example of Bad Bunny at the Super Bowl. I think a lot of people missed it, but normally the Super Bowl is a negative vortex that pulls in energy. You go there, my team, my team. It's the separation that they're feeding into, the lower vibration. And we know the way them hot dogs and foods cost, they talking, there's some real scarcity going on. That's some real scarcity going on. They do that. And when you raise the price of something, you lower the vibration of scarcity to someone. That's why food prices go up, right? They want to feed your fear of scarcity. Why are food prices going up? What happened? All right. It's because they want to feed the fear of scarcity. So when you go to a game and the food prices are artificially high, they want to feed your scarcity. Because what do you do when you feel like there's something scarce in the grocery store? You buy a bunch of toilet paper. Everybody know that. Everybody know that if there's a lack of something, buy toilet paper. If a storm is coming, Atlanta was hit by a storm a couple of weeks ago. They said that you're going to be locked in your house. People went in there and bought all the toilet paper. Crazy work. Crazy work. So whenever they want to feed your lack of scarcity, that energy, they're going to raise the price or show you that, or tell you that there's a limited amount of something. And that is going to drive that fear of scarcity in you. Same way at these sporting events. Oh, these hot dogs cost this, this cost that. Oh, I can't afford that. Oh, I got to afford that. Oh, let me buy me a $10 nasty hot dog. Really? I think you guys missed it when they search your bags and stuff. When you go into places, I learned this when I went to Walt Disney. They're not looking for weapons. They're not looking for weapons. They're making sure you're not sneaking no hot dogs in there. They're making sure you're not sneaking no food in there. Who's all been to the movie theater and never go to the concession stands? I got you. I got you. I stopped at the dollar store before we got here. What you want, some M&Ms? What you want, some Paul Malls? Don't buy none of that crap. Pull out two big old liters of Coke. Here we go. Movie theaters do not like when you bring your own food. They do not like it when you bring your own food. You in there pouring Leaders of coke to everybody in your family, passing down things to them. But when you go to places like sporting events, they want to feed that scarcity, they want to feed that low energy, and they suck it all in. If you ever notice an architect, and they're like a vortex's circle, the teams run through a whole arc. It's all to pull that energy in. Now, what Bad Bunny did was reverse the flow of energy and sent love out. Sent love out. I say he hijacked the matrix. He hijacked it. He sent love out. He used the same infrastructure, the same framework to send out love. Now, I don't even like his music, but I admire the energy that was being sent out into the universe. We got to do more of that. We as a collective, we have to send out more love. We have to hijack the system. We have to project out more positivity. This ain't for everybody. This is for those that know they're here for a purpose and a mission and are here to raise the vibration of the planet. Those that understand that we're here for something greater. This is not about saving souls. That's the craziest thing in the world. This is about creating a better world. As someone told me, you'll know when you go to hell. I'm like, that's just, I don't know how that works. Oh, you'll know when you go to hell. I do. That's a circle. Ain't no one ever proved that. It's just you saying it with so much convincing that people believe that garbage. And I'm going to tell you why. As I let you guys go for the day, I'm going to tell you why. They got you focusing somewhere else so you don't do the work here. They got you thinking of the by and by and getting your reward later so you don't focus here and now. There's only one moment. There's only the present. There's only now. They got you putting off any reward, any pleasure, any happiness. Oh, you get that later. Why they get it now. While they live their bestest life now, they got you convinced that you can't have this now because you're going to get it later. I'm here to tell you, it is yours for the taking now because they're going to lose everything. They like the dog looking at the water with another dog with a bone, want that bone, and reached down and lost his bone in the water trying to grab another dog's bone. That greed will destroy them. All right, I'm going to be back tomorrow at 8 o'clock, 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. I usually put up the thumbnails. Please do me a favor, guys. There's a few people in here. Like this video. Thumbs up. Do that part so we can help kind of share positive messages out there. Help people in their growth. Somebody's waiting to hear this. Oh, love and like. Thank you. So please thumb up this video. Please like it. If you're not subscribing, please subscribe. If you're over on TikTok, come on over here. The water's fine. You can see a lot more of what I'm doing over here. Okay. So I'll be back 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. There are a few links in the description, along with how to join the Conscious Collective, how to donate, how to help us continue to spread awareness and fight the negative narrative that's being pushed as people go into this destructive spiral. We want to shine as much light as we can to aid people in their life journey so they too can reach 5D reality. That's what I ask of the Conscious Collective. If you guys are conscious and you understand that your work is important, join us with that work. All right. Check out the links below and let me know how I can help you I do free consultation calls. That link is down there too, to give you some direction in your journey. I think that's it for me. It went longer than I thought, but I am grateful for Source and the ability to share. I really am honored and thankful that you guys allowed me to share my perspective with you. I hope it helps you in some way in your life journey. Who is Mr. Smith in our reality? Mr. Smith, really quickly, is just a archetype for our agent program. It's just an archetype for an agent program. I discussed what agents are. Agents are just programs that protect the matrix. You could be Mr. Smith. I could be Mr. Smith. Anybody could be Mr. Smith. If your vibration is low enough and you respond in your lower vibration, then that agent makes you do something stupid. Like someone in driving in traffic will be in their own world, distracted. The download of the agent, they pull out in front of you, cut you off. Now you hot mad, right? They don't know what they did. They clueless, right? And you making it your whole life journey to cut them back off instead of letting it go. See how that agent generated animosity and anger in you? And then the matrix and the people who run the matrix feed off that. Okay. So Mr. Smith is not one individual. It is actually, if you want to think of it, just a program, an energy that that can be into anybody. It usually operates in low consciousness individuals, maybe somebody on drugs, maybe somebody, who has suppressed their consciousness. That's that energy that comes into them. I hope that answered your question. Okay. You're not going to find Mr. Smith walking down the street. You're not going to find that. It will be in different circumstances. Sometimes when you go to a bank and they give you a hard time, or you're trying to get some money out, that's Mr. Smith. That's the energy. That's anything that causes that's meant to protect. When they kicked me off of TikTok, it was Mr. Smith that did it. The system did not want me sharing the information. It is the protective of the system. I'm waiting for you to say that you understand SUF 383481. Mr. Smith is different from NPCs, which are non-playable characters. But I guess that's it. So hopefully someone got that message that they wanted answer to if they did not get it. All right. Again, I want to wish everyone love and light in their journey. I also want to wish you wealth and health in your journey. You guys have a great day.